What would you little maniacs like to do first?
From Hollywood, welcome to the Rat's Ass Podcast with Mojo Elliott.
And we're back for another Monday. Did you have a good weekend? You know, if you're not in traction right now, you got no action. So we're in the same boat. Now, the bigger question is, are you ready for another action-packed adventure? Here's what's on tap on the Wrap. President Trump scares the bejesus out of Rootin' Tootin' Putin. Bend over, California. It's screwing time again. Big changes are coming at MSNBC, I'll tell you about. And are you a dangerous person? We're going to find out. Plus, we're going to go back to the 80s. Another round of head traumas on the way. Today, we're going to play the very popular Total Recall. Yes, on a Monday, we're going to really get inside your head. Plus, our usual lunacy and loose behavior, including Saw It on the X. That's what's coming up today on the Rat's Ass Podcast for Monday, August 18th. I do appreciate you being here. Have I mentioned, I don't recall if I said this last week or not. That's what happens to you when you get just a little bit older. You forget things. But it's our one-year anniversary on August 29th here at the Rat's Ass Podcast. My producer, Fleabag, and I are planning one hell of an anniversary special for you, too. So I hope you'll make it. I typically don't do birthday shout-outs. Just not something I like to do. But today I have to make an exception because my oldest and bestest buddy, who was the best man at my wedding, is celebrating today. He's my fellow booze brother from the past and the real estate king of Scottsdale, Arizona. Happy birthday, John Bull Musa. Get out there and eat some ass today, buddy, and make it a good one. Now, that's kind of an inside joke I'll tell you about someday when you're old enough. All right, let's get into the wrap today. Did you see what Donald Trump did to Rootin' Tootin' Putin on Friday? It's a beautiful thing, a beautiful thing. You know, as Putin and Trump are walking on the red carpet to the podium where they were going to take their photo op, a B-52 stealth bomber and 4 fighter jets flew over, just like we do when we have the Super Bowl, for an example. Putin got startled. He looked up in the sky like, what the hell's going on? Is this it? And my curtains? I actually think he sharted himself, but he was startled. He was startled when he saw those planes fly over. Now, Joe Biden never met with Putin during his reign of terror, and he would have never had the cojones to do this either, or the creative wit to pull something like this off, like Trump did. But on the other hand, it kind of showed American force. But the way Trump did it was kind of like a salute to Rootin' Tootin' Putin. Thank you for coming by. Just salute, showing that military might. And that's what 77.1 million Americans voted for. Yes, indeedy. Sure did. It was good. Loved it. Trump is meeting with Ukrainian leader Vladimir Zelensky today. And the word is Zelensky was told to wear clean underwear or don't bother showing up. No, but seriously, do you think he's going to wear a suit this time? We'll find out when we see the replays. All right, here in California, our slumlord governor continues to spend most of his time trolling Trump on social media. Newsom is unhinged, and I think he's a little bit mentally deranged right now. You know, thanks to Texas' efforts to redistrict, Newsom wants to redistrict here in California to gain back any Democratic seats they lose. When the Democrats lose those seats, they probably will in Texas. Now, the problem is voters here in California voted for an independent council to handle it. So Newsom has no power to order it. But he can put it on a ballot initiative in November, which he's going to do. Now, the end game here is Newsom wants to grab more power for the Democrats, and Californians have already overwhelmingly rejected this idea. We voted on this once, so why do we need to vote for it again? But a recent poll of California said, including Democrats, Republicans, Independents, and Libertarians, shows 66% of Republicans, 61% of Democrats, 72% of Independents and Libertarians reject Newsom's power grab. That poll was done last week, by the way. And but here's what you have to be aware of here in California. They will most likely word the measure on the ballot to where yes means no and no means yes. They do this crap all the time, so the stupid people who don't read or understand the lingo end up passing something we don't really need or want. That's what they do. You're going to see heavy ads on TV. It's going to feature Newsom because, he loves to see and hear himself on TV. So whatever he's for, it's generally a good idea to vote for the opposite. But please read what you're voting for on this measure. Okay, make sure that yes means yes and no means no. There might be some of you, especially those in other countries who listen, who are not familiar with Gavin Newsom, by the way. And, I just want you to check out this about his background.
Did you know that Gavin Newsom's been in office for 30 years? He started off in 1996 as a traffic commissioner, basically a glorified parking meter maid. Local elections have consequences. That tiny position turned into a lucrative career for Gavin. Climbing the political ladder, he starts off at the San Francisco Board of Supervisors for 7 years, then becomes mayor of San Francisco, another 7 years, lieutenant governor, 8 years, governor, almost 7 dreadful years and counting. 3 decades straight in California politics. Who is to blame? What do we have to show for it? Record high homelessness, companies fleeing California, crime, wildfires, and taxes through the roof. $100 billion high-speed rail project with no train. Meanwhile, his wealth skyrockets and his political dynasty, Aunt Nancy Pelosi, elite connections, stays firmly in power. 30 years of public service or 30 years of serving himself. What grade would you give Gavin on his 30-year career in California? Don't be shy. I'll start F-.
Now, the one thing she left out is that Gavin was forced to apologize for having an affair with the wife of his friend and campaign manager Alex Tork in 2007 when he was mayor of San Francisco. I mean, the man has no class, no character, no integrity, and no moral compass. But yet he wants to be president in 2028. Gavin Newsom is a combination of Joe Biden and Bill Clinton on steroids. Best way I can explain this guy if you're not really familiar with our slumlord governor here in California. All right, changes are coming to MSNBC. Now that the network is splitting from Comcast, they're going to be on their own. And they're going to be changing their name to MS Now. Isn't that spiffy? Just think, more stupidity now. No other changes have been announced, but based on my media experience, a name change usually means maybe a format change, but it definitely includes a change of personnel. We don't know who's gone, who's coming, who's gone yet, but we'll find out soon enough. There are people at MSNBC right now, though, dropping a deuce in their underpants. Guarantee it. All right, do you consider yourself to be a dangerous person? There are 7 guidelines to help you define if you are or not. So let's run through them real quick, and you can check off whether you qualify or not. Number 1, you have the ability to hurt people, but you choose not to. You're a bigger man, bigger woman than that. You faced darkness in your life but didn't break. You survived and moved on and thrived. You're comfortable being disliked. Number 4, you can cut people off without warning. Number 5, you remain cool during times of chaos. And number 6, you keep a very, very tight circle of friends. You don't need a posse. And number 7, you can go silent for months, disappear, and then come back stronger than before. All right, that's it. So are you a dangerous person? All right, due to my lack of sleep last week, I calculated 13 hours over 5 days. I decided to have kind of a lazy weekend to rest and recharge. Now, between the Reds games with Milwaukee and the Raiders game with San Francisco, I went on an 80s comedy binge weekend. I pulled out a bunch of comedies from my movie library, and I bet you it's been at least 20, 25 years since I've seen these movies. And what a difference it is to go back after all that time and watch these movies again. I pulled out Risky Business, Weird Science, Back to School, Uncle Buck. I watched Fletch, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and Fast Times at Ridgemont High this weekend. And I've decided I'm going to continue every weekend with this until I've seen all the great comedies from the 80s. Because 2 things here. They really put me in a great mood. You know, the thing about the 80s, it was such a great carefree time, and it reminds you of how carefree we were back in the 80s. So I really woke up this morning in a great mood. So why not watch more 80s movies? Now, as I watched each movie, I like to jump on IMDb to see how old the characters are now and if they're still alive. And I was shocked by how many of the older actors are dead now. That's how fast life goes by. Like Ferris said, if you don't stop, you might miss it. Yeah. Now, the actors who played teenagers were in their mid to late 20s back then. A bunch of them are in their 60s already. And the actor who played Damone on Fast Times at Ridgemont High, he's going to be 70 next year. 70. He's the guy who banged Stacy in the family's pool house. It was the scalper. 70 years old next year. Kind of freaked me out a little bit. But I'm going to try to do 4 per weekend until we get through all the great ones. For this weekend, I've already pulled out Caddyshack, Ghostbusters, Back to the Future 1, and Vacation, which has one of the all-time greatest lines.
I'm going steady, and I French kiss.
So everybody does that.
Yeah, but Daddy says I'm the best at it.
Oh, look at Mr. Hip and Cool wearing his American Eagle jeans today.
You're just jealous.
Here is Mojo Elliott with Rat Sports.
All right, 2 weeks down and 1 week to go in the NFL preseason before it gets real for 2025. Over the weekend, there were some shockers, even though it is the preseason. Who would have thought Seattle would rip Kansas City? Cleveland knocked off Philadelphia, the defending champs. And Chicago stopped Buffalo 38-0. Yeah, tonight Cincinnati plays Washington. The regular season kicks off on Thursday, September 4th. Circle that on your calendar. Dallas will play the defending champs, the Philadelphia Eagles. Little League World Series is underway in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. Youngsters from around the world will play for the title through Sunday, August 24th. You can catch all the games on ESPN and ABC. And no, I haven't watched yet, but I will starting this week because there's always that one team that has the 12-year-old man-child that dominates everybody. So I want to see who that is this year. All right, let's look at the Rats Ask Sports chat box, see if anybody is in the chat box today. Yeah, buddy. Here's Jody Stennett from Hershey, Pennsylvania. He says, how does a guy who grew up near Pittsburgh become a Reds and Raiders fan and not a Pirates and Steelers fan? Well, because everybody around me was a Steelers and Pirates fan. I've always been a guy who swims back upstream. I don't go with a popular group, and I refuse to do it here. The Reds and Raiders at that time were loathed by Steelers and Pirates fans, so I simply said, hey, those are my teams. And the Raiders logo certainly had something to do with it. But so I went basically back upstream just to mess with them. It was always fun at school, fun at parties. Alex J., Mesquite, Nevada, said, what is your assessment of the Raiders game against San Francisco? Well, first of all, I never put any merit into the preseason. I've seen teams go 4-0 in the preseason and win 3 games during the regular season, and the Raiders have certainly done that in recent years. I thought Ashton Genety looked better in Game 2. His size does concern me. I didn't realize how small he was, and if they don't open holes for this guy, he's not going to get a lot of yards. So I'm a little concerned still about him and being able to last over 16 games. Geno Smith, I think, looked pretty steady, pretty good. Aiden O'Connell looks like he hasn't progressed at all since he became a Raider. He still looks like the same guy that played 3 years ago. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Raiders don't let him walk, but if they do keep him, they'll probably use rookie Cam Miller on the practice squad, but he looks pretty good too and might be... I think he's better than O'Connell. He just needs to know the offense a little bit better. But that's how I kind of looked at this week's game. We got one more to go, and you'll probably see Geno Smith and the team play at least the whole first half. All right, that is sports on the Wrap.
Rats Ass Podcast. Head trauma.
All right, today we're playing Total Recall. This is where I give you 4 historical events, and you have to put them in the order they happened first to last. This year... the year was 2005. 2005. Wait a minute. Let's do this right.
The year was 2005.
All right, here are the events. I told you the 80s would put me in a good mood. Hurricane Katrina devastated the Gulf Coast. Event number 2, YouTube is launched. Event number 3, Pope John Paul II passed away. And event 4, the book, not the movie, the book, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince was released. All right, again, Hurricane Katrina devastates the Gulf Coast. YouTube is launched. Pope John Paul II passes away. And the book, not the movie, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince was released. All right, take a while and think about it. We'll have the answer for you coming up.
It's time for some loose behavior on the Rats Ass Podcast.
All right, let's see what's happening on the Rats Ass Podcast X feed today. It's called We Saw It on the X. Tokyo, not the country, the person posted this one. What is the worst way to reply to I love you? You know, you're with somebody that you like and all of a sudden they say I love you to you. What's the worst way to respond to that? Okay, I'm going to try this one seriously. Walter Wartenweiler. He said, I know. That's cold. That's cruel. Greg the Leg said, but I don't love you. Ooh, that's a burn. And Amy Cross said, why? Why do you love me? Those are all kind of cold, but I think the worst reply you could ever say to somebody was, well, I really appreciate that, but you know what? Your feet stink.
Hey, heads up. Here comes your celebrity cheese.
All right, Sarah Jessica Parker says she could care less about what the haters had to say about, and just like that, the finale, after the disastrous finale, HBO Max has decided to axe the show after viewers rejected the heavily woke spinoff of Sex and the City. You know what, though? I'm going to go out on a limb here and predict HBO Max will resurrect the series within 7 years. And you can hold me to this. I think they'll feature Samantha. I think she'll come back to the show. You're going to see Samantha, Carrie, Charlotte, Miranda still getting their groove on in New York, but this time in a senior citizens high-rise. And Samantha, she'll have false teeth that she removes to give a dying man his last rites. Am I right or am I wrong? All right, Livy Dunn, who dates Pittsburgh Pirate ace pitcher Paul Skeens, says she's learned everything she knows about dating a pro athlete from watching Taylor Swift get her meat hooks into Travis Kelce. Oh, yes. There's always somebody young who doesn't know the veteran or the Hall of Famer. We all know that this all started with Kim Kardashian. She set the bar way low by nailing half of the NBA back when she only had one ass. Jennifer Aniston and Courtney Cox were together again over the weekend, and Cox showed up to support Aniston's healthcare line of products. The two shared a selfie with Instagrammers with the caption, "Don't we look cute together?" But if you saw the photo, I'm going to say what you're thinking. Courtney looks old enough to be Jennifer's mom. All right, another test to see if cancel culture has actually been terminated came up during the Bills-Bears game yesterday with Greg Olson, a commentator on Fox Sports, who called Buffalo Bills owner Brandon Beaner, which is actually his nickname by people who know him in close circles. That's why he probably called him that. But here's the deal. It has racial overtones. People are ticked off, and they are calling for Olson's demise. So Olson should have called Brandon by his full nickname, though, the Beaner Wiener. Don't you think? Maybe he'll remember that next time. Hey, in case you didn't know, Britney Spears has now been single for almost 6 months. 180 days.
Who gives a rat's ass?
Rat's Ass Podcast. Email from our Gmail.
All right, as you know, I do not read your email in advance. My producer, Fleabag, forwards to me your name, where you're from, and rewrites them so I can respond rapid fire and on the fly. No topic is ever off the table, and it is also impossible to offend me. All right, Riley S. in Corpus Christi, Texas said, the answer to your question on Friday about paid protesters being serious, the answer is no. Most of these morons have no idea what they're protesting about. They're only there for a check. Good answer, Riley. Good answer. I'm going to be watching you. Serious protester always has a just cause, or it's all BS. They're just looking at numbers to fool people who don't know better. I think people are past this, though. I think most people know that you look at a protest, all these people are just making extra money. They have no idea what they're protesting. All right, Steve A. in Long Beach, California said, why do you do your best of series on YouTube on the weekends? It would be cool to be able to watch them during the week, too. All right, Steve, good suggestion. Never let it be said that we don't take into consideration what people write in to say that they want to hear on the podcast. So, you know what? Starting now, since it is my podcast, my rules, Fleabag, do we still have the Foo Fighters best of posted? We haven't taken it down yet? All right, leave it up. We'll leave it up all this week. And from now on, our specials will go Friday to Friday. Okay, this weekend we're going to do Van Halen featuring Sammy and Dave, so be watching those. And the other thing, too, between Christmas and New Year, we're going to have probably 20 best-ofs completed, and we're just going to open them all up. So you can go to the Rat's Ass Rock TV and watch best-ofs from 20 different bands that we get done, plus all the other features we have. Go check it out at ratsasspodcast.com. All right, Chuck W., Juneau, Alaska, said, explain what you meant by classic rock being deep compared to classic hits, which is only an inch thick. All right, well, this is a problem I have with program directors today of this format, is I think they're trying to combine the two, and you can't do it because it's two different life groups of people. So a classic rock, what I mean by deep is that there are bands like Led Zeppelin, AC/DC, Aerosmith, on down the line who have a huge catalog of music. And classic rock stations have been better about this in recent years of playing some deeper cuts. They can still go deeper, but they're still, for some reason, scared to go too deep. But there's a way around that. There's a way to frame it so it makes sense for the listener. Well, why is this song on this radio station? But let me give you an idea. A classic rock set, a 5-song set on a classic rock radio station. AC/DC, Shoot the Thrill. Let's go with Pearl Jam, Jeremy. Pink Floyd, Have a Cigar. Aerosmith, Sweet Emotion, and Rush, Limelight. Okay, it's a little heavier in its presentation. But on those stations, you would also hear Sin City from AC/DC, maybe Corduroy from Pearl Jam, One of Those Days from Pink Floyd, No More from Aerosmith, and maybe Working Man from Rush. You would never hear those songs on a classic hit station, meaning Sin City, Corduroy, what'd I say, One of Those Days, No More, and Working Man. Never hear it. Classic hit stations, you're going to hear maybe a little softer side of rock, but all of these songs were top 40 hits at one time, and they just extracted them from the top 40 charts. So it's really kind of a rock 40 idea. So a 5-song set might be, let's go with Steely Dan, Do It Again, Doobie Brothers, Long Train Runnin', Urgent from Foreigner, Toto, Hold the Line, and maybe Fleetwood Mac, Dreams. And you might hear those bands again on that same station, but you're going to hear Reeling in the Years, What a Fool Believes, Feels Like the First Time, probably Africa, and Don't Stop. All familiar songs. You know these songs when you hear the titles, and that's what a classic hit station does. All right, so hopefully that explained it to you. Rosalie Z in Flagstaff, Arizona said, I'm curious to hear what your Mount Rushmore of network TV sitcoms would be. Wow, that's putting me on the spot. Well, number one off the top of my head, because I watch it just about every day, is Seinfeld. Yeah, it's been off the air almost 30 years, and I still watch a Seinfeld episode every day. Got to be WKRP in Cincinnati because I'm a radio guy. Definitely got to have Frasier in there, and I'd probably put fourth on my Mount Rushmore, probably 2.5 Men with Charlie Sheen. The Ashton Kutcher stuff, that was trash. Get that out of there. But the Charlie Sheen years, yeah, I would probably say those off the top of my head: Seinfeld, WKRP in Cincinnati, Frasier, and 2.5 Men. Kimberly B, Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'm dating a guy that I just had sex with for the first time. Really? Thanks for telling us. But he said afterwards, he tells me, congratulations, you're number 666 on my body count list. And she said, I wanted to throw up. I like this guy, but is he a keeper? Kimberly, you know what happens when you write in and try to pull my middle leg, right?
Feel right in this motherfucker.
Yeah.
Feel good in this motherfucker.
That's right.
My whole hood in this motherfucker.
Uh-huh.
And we gon' rock this motherfucker.
I'm not buying he has a body count of 666, but you're just pulling my leg. All right, if you have any questions, observations, or comments, send them to my producer, Fleabag, at ratsasspodcast@gmail.com. The more outrageous and salacious, the better. All right, who's ready to get edumacated?
Rat's Ass Podcast. Head trauma.
All right, this game, as I called it, Total Recall. I gave you 4 historical events to put in order, and the order they happened first to last. The year 2005. Let's review. Hurricane Katrina devastated the Gulf Coast. YouTube is launched. Pope John Paul II passed away. And the book, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, was released. All right, did you figure it out? Have you put them in the right order? Let's find out. It's YouTube, John Paul II, Harry Potter, and Hurricane Katrina. If you put those in that order.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
But if you missed it, go see a doctor about your head trauma and get well soon. All right, my time is just about up. I got to go order a birthday cake for my buddy John and send it to him. It's an ass cake. It's a cake that's shaped like an ass. So just visualize 2 butt cheeks on the top of a cake. Now, it's vanilla with chocolate filling right where you would expect it to be. Woo! All right, I do have one more thing for you. Let's see if you agree or disagree with this one. There are 3 complaints most men have about women. Number 1, the silent treatment. Men hate the silent treatment. Bringing up things from the distant past, things that happened 5-6 years ago. We know you ladies have those memories for that. You remember 1994 when you... One of those things. And being overcritical. It's okay to be critical, but overly beating a dead horse, The one I agree with most, though, is the silent treatment. I mean, man, when that stench hits your nose, whoo, without warning, my God.
That cake you're sending Bully Bull sounds gross.
No, he'll love it. In fact, I guarantee you he'll buy another one later this week.
I can't imagine what you two got into when you were young, dumb, and full of.
Don't you dare go there.
You're talking about eating booty, and I can't say come.
Do you want me to hit the mute button again?
Kiss my butt and do the shout-outs to Rat Nation, you punk.
Your butt. Okay, sure. There's the mute button again. I mean, she just gets out of control. Out of control. All right, welcome to Rat Nation. Thaddeus Voorhees, Amherst, Massachusetts. Sounds like a professor at Boston College. Ricky Fitzpatrick in Cody, Wyoming, and Daphne Sparks in Solvang, California. To the resistance, those who email us but haven't joined Rat Nation yet, at 485 members strong now, by the way. Pat D, Manhattan, Kansas. Greta M from Panama City, Florida. And DJ K from Los Alamos, New Mexico. And we also got to go around the world to listeners in Pune, India, Zolino, Italy, and Agadir, Morocco. Have you ever been there? Agadir, Morocco? Sounds like an outstanding place to go hang out.
Now's your chance to be one of the few and the loud. Join Rat Nation at ratsasspodcast.com. Membership does have its rewards, you know.
All right, that's it for this episode of the Rat's Ass Podcast. Go check out ratsasspodcast.com and get the entire Rat's Ass Podcast experience. You can listen to podcasts, rock out the Rat's Ass Rock TV, read the blog. It's loaded with hot topicality. Plus, you can still join Rat Nation without having to qualify. We'll do this again on Wednesday, August 20th. Take care of each other. And thanks for listening and dropping by to the Rat's Ass Podcast.
The conversation continues between podcasts on X and ratsasspodcast.com. ratsasspodcast.com.
She ate your ass? Oh my God. Did you eat hers? Of course. Of course. Oh, what are you talking about? Dude, that's standard. You think that's standard to eat someone's ass? Absolutely. You think that's standard? Yes. That is not standard.
You know what it is? You've been married for way too long. Everyone's eating everyone's ass now.
There is no way everybody's eating everyone's ass.
Everyone's eating everyone's ass.
It's impossible. Everyone is not eating everyone's ass.
They are.
What are you people? On dope?